Hey guys, so as we talked about last video, we did get a heat press. We're bringing more of the printing that we do day to day in house now, rather than the print on demand. My plan is to always use print on demand in some shape or form, but to better increase or improve our delivery times and have a better say in our quality and actually be able to brand a little bit better, we decided to bring some stuff in house and see how it goes. Not a decision that we made lightly. It was something that we planned for and debated, and just thought maybe what would be the best way to do this. But you know what? I thought it was time. It's time to give it a try. The numbers made sense when it came to the amount of shirts that we sell per month, and it wasn't something that we just jumped right into. So as you guys are all probably aware, there are many DTG printers out there. There are various price points that you can hit. So we're of course not the high end. Those are you're talking about the Cornets and some of those other high end manufacturing type ones. You're talking about the hundreds of thousands. We were looking at something in the 10 to 20. And we ended up settling in on the Ricoh RI-1000. So that's it right there, as you can see. And we were also looking at quite a few others. When it came down to it, there were a few things that I liked about the Ricoh, and where it can print on just about anything. And I have a friend that's in the DTG business that has the RI-2000s, and he started with the RI-1000s. Has a couple other brands that he started with, so he has a little bit of a track record as far as experience with it. And he kind of told me that it's a solid machine. Of course, though, you have to keep up with maintenance, and I think that's going to be true with any machine you go with. And you're going to have to learn a little bit about your machine. It's not like a copier or printer that you can just use it and not have to do stuff on it. So there's there's daily maintenance, weekly maintenance, and then monthly maintenance that needs to get done on these machines to kind of keep them running at their top form. I did go into a couple groups on Facebook, checked out different things, and I'll be honest, I think the feedback that was on there, it was really between, Epson was one of the top dogs. Ricoh had some, supporters, but also had some folks that weren't too happy with it. And I think a lot of it though came down to, just the, different parts, things like that. So, one thing that I've learned so far, or I think that I would recommend, right now we have the warranty, which is great, but they do offer an extended warranty. So if it's, now it's not cheap. The extended warranty does cost some money. So you have to kind of look at, what a print head would cost versus, the extended warranty, because that's probably going to be the most expensive piece, right? Is getting if you had to replace the print head. So for us, it's probably going to be something that we will end up using and getting the extended warranty just to make sure that we're covered. Because that's one of the horror stories that I've seen is, folks, something pops, after the warranty's up, and, it can be a simple fix and a simple part, or it can be very expensive. And, it's not the cheapest thing to repair these things. So, again, definitely look at, if you're whatever printer you're looking at, to make sure that they offer an extended warranty. There's a few other things that you would want to look at. Support, of course. What type of support do they have? One thing that I wish I would have, I didn't really know initially. And again, haven't had, I'm hoping we're not going to run into any major issues. But, it's one of those things where you do want to make sure, you understand the support. What does it include? What does it not include? Does it include on-site support if they need to come in to repair? Or do you have to send it in? That's key. So with Ricoh, at least at this point, they're not offering on-site support. So that is one thing that I'm a little, I should, I kind of might have wanted to rethink. But at this point, I've been happy, and I will go into some of the issues that we ran into early, and I will stipulate that they were all user error. So, and their support has been great so far. So, other than that, we also ended up getting the heat press. So we got the Fusion IQ heat press. Again, very happy with that. Looking at doing heat transfers, and we are going to be getting an air conveyor dryer to cure these things. But for now, I've been using the heat press and I've been happy with it. It's working great for that. Slows things down. I mean, I think that's going to be always the argument from folks that do screen printing, right? Is that it's a slow process at times, and it can be. So, if we weren't going to have a conveyor dryer, I'd probably look at eventually trying to get two heat presses. So one could be doing one thing, and the other one could be doing something else. And then the other thing that we got is, of course, the pre-treat machine. So I went with the Pearl. I wanted a sprayer. I wanted something that, could hopefully give me consistent sprays. So that's what we have right here. And right now, well, I'm in the dark over here. Right now, we've been trying, different pre-treats. So the one I've been playing with the most right now is the Firebird FBX 100, where it can go on light and dark garments. We haven't tested this one just yet, but it's on my list, is the T-Treat. And then the one that came with the machine that they push, that Ricoh pushes, is, of course, the Image Armor. There it is. And I like Image Armor. It looks, it does a good job. But what I like about the Firebird so far, my testing, has been the feel of the shirt. So for you guys that aren't 100% with, don't understand on the pre-treating, when you pre-treat the shirt, it puts this layer, this coating, so that the ink can adhere to it, and that can leave almost like a patchy feel to the shirt. Normally, once you wash it, it washes away. But when you're selling shirts and you're giving folks, where you're trying to sell them like a retail ready shirt, you don't want to say, hey, wash it first and then put it on. So trying to find something that'll give us the look and feel of a brand new shirt. So what I thought we would do today is I have some shirts to print. I'm going to go through the pre-treat process, get things lined up, show you a little bit of how I cure how I dry my pre-treat. I've been looking and I think that's the biggest learn from me, is the biggest thing that I've learned in this whole process is I had watched a ton of videos. I had watched just about everything from all these different folks. And when I got my DTG machine and pre-treat, I found that I still had to learn a lot more. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is there's so much testing that has to be done for your own environment, for the type of room you're in, for the shirts that you're using, for the pre-treat that you're using. There is a lot of trial and error. So initially, excuse me, initially what we were going to do is, just offer all these shirts and it's awesome. But we've quickly found that maybe the best way to do is to limit the amount of options, the amount of shirts that we're going to offer, so that we know which ones are the best, and that we have dialed in. As we're testing other shirts, we can add those if needed to our shops. But I think we're really going to focus on, like right now, Bella Canvas 3001s. I have those pretty much dialed in, the 100% cotton. The Heathers I'm still playing with. Feel like I have it down, and I think we'll be there pretty soon. But the Heather is a little bit different, and I think once we have the conveyor dryer, that'll make things a lot easier on a lot of the stuff that we're doing. For the women's, we've been using a lot of Anvil 880 shirts, standard, women's t-shirt. That's been playing well for us. We've been looking at Next Level, the Heather. We've been looking at the Bella Canvas. But one thing with the Bellas is I've gotten a lot of complaints. That's usually the shirt that I get the most complaints on when it comes to sizing, right? So we'll put order one size up. We have folks that are like, oh my God, I had to order two sizes up to get it to fit. So we've kind of started going away from the Bellas on the women's. But we also have the Next Level ones that, we like as well, but haven't done a ton of testing with those. So right now it's just going to be the Bellas, 3001s, the Anvil 880s. And for youth, that's what I'm in the middle of right now. Next Level has a princess tee that's very popular on some of our shops. And then we have the Bella Canvas Youth. I forget what the number on that one, but it's similar to the 3001, but on the youth size. I think it's 3001Y or something like that. So that's kind of where we're at. So those are the shirts that we have. The Bellas are playing very well with this printer. It's curing nicely. We've done washing tests, and it keeps it. The next levels, I've had some issues where the fibers are coming through, and that's the toughest part. Is like once you have a problem, trying to pinpoint what the issue is. Right? Is it the image? Is it the rip that you did of the image? Is it how you set up that rip? Did you set up enough coats of the underbase? Is it your pre-treat? Did you put enough? Did you put too little? So it's kind of that type of thing where you have to start dialing it in. So initially I came in gun-ho thinking, yep, we're going to get this done real quick and easy. I've seen so many videos. I'm an expert, and I am far from it. So I had to start taking a lot of good notes, making sure that I, document what size, what type of shirt I'm using, how much pre-treat I put, how was the rip of that image, and then starting to try to document to try to get a good pattern so that as new designs are coming, new shirts, things like that, I can hopefully dial it in very quickly and not have to start from scratch and kind of get all this stuff together. So let me go ahead and start getting some shirts ready. We'll be doing the pre-treat. I'll show you my the drying that I do on the heat press, which I think has worked great. And I got this from one of the webinars that I saw. I can't remember what it was actually. I don't think it was Ricoh either, but it was a very good webinar in the way that they talk about doing the pre-treat. Once we get the conveyor, that should help these things. But we were, from time to time you get that box, right? So you're trying to avoid getting that square box from your pre-treat. The next thing, and then we'll do some printing, and then I'll show you how I cure it. So stick around, and we'll be right back. All right, so now we've basically done the pre-press on the shirts, got the moisture out, and also flattened them out. Sometimes when they're coming out of the box, you have some grooves and stuff that you want to make sure you flatten out before you print on them. So we're gonna pre-treat right now. Trying different things. Whether it's a paintbrush, a roller. There's a squeegee that I'm using right now, which seems to be working well. Basically, once you spray the pre-treat, you want to different folks are giving different suggestions, so we're trying it all, just trying to see what works best. Now what we got right now is the reason I like the Pearl PTM is you can stack your shirts on top of each other and just go like one after the other. So we're following the Firebird range, so they I think go 18 grams to 30 something grams, so we're kind of like in the middle right now. and things are, they're looking okay. So we're gonna do some prints right now and see how it comes out. On this order, we're doing Bella Canvas, the 3001 standard black, and we'll see how it comes out. So stick around. All right, now that we're done with the pre-treat of the shirt, now it's time to dry it. Folks do it a little bit differently. What I have found is working for me, in particular, is basically as little pressure as possible. So what I'm doing right now is actually letting it just hover. And, if I have the time, I'll let it sit there as long as possible and almost like conveyor dry, right? It's no pressure at all. What I'm finding when I do that is that there's very little box on it. And that's one of the challenges with pre-treat. If you put too much pressure on it, you get this outline on your shirt, and it'll normally wash away, which is no big deal. But when you're dealing with, you want to get stuff that's retail ready, the last thing you want is a big, hard or stiff box where they can kind of see where you heat press the shirt. So trying to avoid that as much as possible. This is one of the ways that I found on a webinar. And at this point, has been giving me the best success when it comes to, no staining and getting rid of that box. So usually what I'll do is I'll let it sit there. Now again, it's all going to depend on how many shirts you got to do. So if we're extremely busy, this is where I'm hoping the conveyor dryer comes in and we'll get this same type of, look and feel. But, if I'm really busy and I have a ton of things, a ton of shirts to print, I may not be able to let it sit there as long. But I do want it right now, since I'm not in any rush. I'll let it sit there, and then we'll start, once we get to a point where it's close, then we'll give it a quick press, very low pressure, and, from there, get them on the printer. All right, while we're waiting for the shirts to dry up with the pre-treat, let me just do a quick nozzle check, make sure everything's good there. This is always with the Ricoh, at least it's extremely important before you start printing. Want to make sure everything's looking good there, and might need to do some head cleans, but we'll see. So let's see how it comes out. Looks good. So let's get these shirts dry and start printing. so that's pretty much the way we're printing right now. Overall, my initial impression so far are good for the Ricoh RI-1000. I guess we're just starting out right now, so I'll definitely keep you guys posted and let you guys know about our experience. We have reached out to tech support a couple times. One was more just because um, the biggest thing is a learning curve when it comes to DTG printing. I knew that it would be not the easiest thing at first, but I thought it would be a lot quicker of a curve, but it actually isn't. There's a lot of variables, especially when you're looking at shirts. The brand, if they're ring spun, heather, that type of stuff, and then the different pre-treats. There's so many different factors that you need to take into account when you're printing with a DTG printer. It's not something that you can just go and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and spray some pre-treat and away you go. You got to do some testing. You got to do wash tests to make sure that the amount of pre-treat is just right. If it's too little, it'll look faded. It won't look very good. Washability isn't very good. If you use too much, it'll again the washability won't be great, and you'll see cracking and things like that. So it's one of those things where you really got to spend some time and learn the right process and learn what's going to work for you, and for your designs and things like that. So the initial issue that we had, or that I went out and reached out to support, was on some of my prints. The white wasn't coming out as thick as I thought it needed to be. Where you could see a little bit of the fabric under it. So reached out to support. They gave me some tips. Again, learning the RIP software, learning where all these settings are at. It's pretty complicated at first. So being able to reach out to support was great. They gave me some quick tips, and I think we got it dialed in. It's not each design you got to treat a little bit different. But once you get it dialed in, you save that file, and then anytime you need to print that specific design, your settings are all set in that file. But again, learning the RIP, speaking with my buddy, that's been doing this for a while, he made a comment that it took him about 200 shirts to fully get comfortable with the DTG process, where they thought they had it nailed down. So if you think about it, those are 200 blanks that you got to buy. That's an investment that you have to do a lot of time spent doing that, washing them, because you want to know what it's going to be. You don't want your customer to get a nice shirt that looks great, and then after that first wash it looks horrible. So spending time doing that, it has been a process. So it's one of those things though that hopefully as time comes and we start getting a lot of shirts under our belt, we'll be more comfortable with it. The next thing that I would say, or at least that we ran into, is we were getting some smudges from time to time while we were doing some prints, and basically, again, it was one of those things where reached out to support. They quickly actually called me right back, because when it comes to lines, things like that, there's always a concern that there's something major going on. Took some pictures of the print head, took some pictures of our cleaning station or maintenance station, and it turned out we just needed to do a better cleaning on the print head itself, which fixed the problem for us. So far so good with support. Again, we'll definitely keep you posted on that, because that's, to me, one of the biggest things with these printers. The extended warranty is not cheap on these things, but if you weigh the price of a new print head, which will probably be the most expensive piece of this equipment, is it worth it? If anything else goes down in that same year, is it worth it? So again, that's something that you have to decide. For us right now, we're under warranty. We're going to see how it goes. But yeah, I think before you hit your 1 year mark, you have to make a decision on whether you want to go with the extended warranty. So I'll let you know what we decide to do. And I think it's just going to depend, on how things go during the year and how comfortable I am being able to make the repairs. Got to be able to do the maintenance, got to be able to do your daily, weekly, and monthly maintenance, and be comfortable going in there and kind of doing those things. And I think that's true with just about any printer. I think there's not one that's like no maintenance necessary. So make sure that you're comfortable doing that. But overall, I think we're in a good spot. I'm not 100% comfortable with it just yet. But each print that we do, we feel like we're getting better and better. And we still have POD as a backup just in case. But being able to get the extra profit, being able to get the brand and the experience better for the customer. The hope is that we'll be seeing more return customers. We'll be seeing more with faster delivery times. We'll be able to see, we're going to see an increase in sales there. So we'll keep you posted. I'll see how this goes. Again, it's not something that's been easy. So if you are looking into it, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And if you have any tips, if for any other RI-1000 owner, if you have any tips, anything that's helped you, definitely share those below, because I'm willing to learn and try anything out to try to get this thing to be as consistent as possible. So until next time, I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week, and feel free to like and subscribe, and have a great one.